Hello friends. Have you ever wondered what happens when the fiery spark of an Aries born in the year of the snake meets the dreamy waters of a Pisces born in the year of the rooster? At first glance, this may seem like an impossible combination. The bold warrior of the zodiac entwined with the gentle dreamer, sharpened further by two very different Chinese animal influences. Yet as we peel back the layers, we discover a story that is full of paradoxes, challenges, but also dazzling opportunities. Let's dive deeply into this unusual astrological chemistry and explore their love, marriage, intimacy, friendship, business dynamics, hidden shadows, and ultimate life goals. Love, fire meets water, mystery meets sensitivity. When Aries Snake and Pisces Rooster cross paths in matters of the heart, the air around them changes. Subtle at first, but soon undeniable. Their connection begins with intrigue. The Aries Snake steps into the scene with eyes that seem to pierce into hidden truths, a calm self-possession masking a simmering fire beneath the surface. This is not a lover who rushes blindly into passion. Rather, they radiate intensity through deliberate, carefully measured gestures, making every glance, every word, and every silence feel like it carries 1,000 unspoken meanings. The Pisces Rooster, on the other hand, approaches love with an openness that is equal parts enchanting and vulnerable. Idealistic by nature, touched by that Piscean dreamlike aura, they seek love that feels destined, cosmic, and protective. For them, romance is not just about attraction, it is about safety, sincerity, and the chance to surrender their heart into hands they can trust. From the very beginning, there is a spark that feels almost karmic. Aries Snake's enigmatic aura both captivates and unsettles the Pisces Rooster, who feels as though they are stepping into a realm where passion has weight, where emotions are not surface ripples but deep currents. The snake's magnetism pulls at the rooster's soul, whispering promises of intensity that the rooster simultaneously yearns for and fears. The Pisces Rooster cannot resist the mystery. They want to decipher it, to drink from it, to lose themselves in its depth. And the Aries Snake, though appearing controlled, cannot ignore the innocence and sincerity radiating from the rooster, a purity that softens their strategic, calculating approach to love. But the story does not unfold without tension. The Aries Snake's idea of love is rooted in power and allure. To them, romance is an arena of both pleasure and challenge. They want to be desired, admired, and occasionally even feared. They see love as a dance where dominance and surrender alternate in unpredictable patterns. The Pisces Rooster, by contrast, yearns for stability and reassurance. Their ideal of love is filled with tenderness, honesty, and spiritual union. They need to know they are cherished, safe, and not just another conquest in their partner's narrative. This difference in expectation sets the stage for one of the most fascinating yet volatile dynamics in astrology. The Aries Snake, with their fiery Aries core, sometimes surges with intensity that overwhelms the gentle rooster. What feels natural to the snake, flirtation mixed with mystery, moments of silence mixed with sudden passion, can feel like instability to the Pisces heart. The rooster may lie awake at night wondering, do they truly love me? Or am I simply being pulled along by their charisma? That yearning for constant reassurance may weigh heavily on the snake, who values independence and dislikes being questioned about their loyalty. It is not that the snake lacks devotion. Once they choose, they are fiercely protective and faithful, but their way of expressing it rarely matches the rooster's need for visible, daily affection. Yet, when they manage to bridge this emotional gap, the result is astonishing. Their love becomes a tapestry woven of contradictions that somehow harmonize. The snake ignites the rooster's dormant passions, drawing out courage, daring, and even boldness that the Pisces influence often conceals. The rooster, in turn, tempers the snake's fiery nature with patience, compassion, and emotional honesty. Together, they create a love that is stormy yet poetic, like a dramatic novel where every chapter is filled with longing, misunderstanding, reconciliation, and renewed passion. Picture a moment between them. The Aries Snake, silent, leaning against the edge of a balcony, eyes scanning the night sky as if reading secrets written in the stars. The Pisces rooster approaches softly, uncertain whether to disturb the quiet, and finally whispers a question about their future together. The snake turns, eyes blazing with intensity, and instead of giving words of reassurance, they pull the rooster into an embrace so strong, so undeniable, that all questions melt away. This is how they communicate, through passion, through presence, through gestures that overwhelm language. The rooster, with time, learns that reassurance does not always come in verbal form. The snake shows it through loyalty, through the very fact that they remain, watching, guarding, refusing to let go. But what happens when imbalance takes over? If the snake indulges too much in control, if they let their mysterious charm become manipulative, the rooster can feel caged rather than cherished. Pisces energy resents being deceived or used, and once the rooster senses betrayal or dishonesty, their disappointment cuts deeply. They may retreat into silence, bitterness, or even idealize someone else who promises them the emotional clarity they crave. Similarly, if the rooster leans too heavily on their need for reassurance, if they constantly question or doubt, the snake may feel suffocated and withdraw, cloaking themselves in cold distance. It is in these moments that their love feels less like a romance and more like a battlefield between fire and water. And yet, perhaps it is precisely this volatility that makes their love unforgettable. Unlike couples who glide through life with quiet harmony, Aries Snake and Pisces Rooster create a bond that is vivid, alive, and constantly evolving. Their arguments are fiery, but their reconciliations are tender beyond compare. Their silences can be heavy, but when broken, the words exchanged carry the weight of revelation. The highs are dizzying, the lows are crushing, but neither can deny that in this relationship, they feel more alive than anywhere else. At its best, their love becomes a union of strength and sensitivity. The Aries Snake learns that vulnerability is not weakness, and the Pisces Rooster learns that intensity is not instability but rather a sign of passion that refuses to be lukewarm. Together, they push each other to grow. The snake encourages the rooster to step beyond fear and insecurity, while the rooster teaches the snake the beauty of gentleness, trust, and emotional transparency. So, is this love built to last? That depends on whether they can embrace their differences not as flaws, but as complementary forces. Fire and water may seem destined to extinguish each other, but in the right balance, they create steam, mystical, transformative, capable of moving mountains. The Aries Snake and Pisces Rooster, in love, are exactly this. Two elements that should destroy each other, yet instead combine to create a story that is both haunting and unforgettable. And now, a little side note. If you'd like to support the channel, there's a thanks button right under this video, or through the donation alerts link in the description. Your support truly helps me keep creating. And of course, if you enjoy the content, please leave a like and subscribe so you won't miss what's coming next. Thank you so much for being here. Now, let's continue. Marriage, can they build a home together? Marriage between an Aries Snake and a Pisces Rooster is not the kind of quiet union where two people slip seamlessly into roles and routines without conflict. Instead, it is an intricate, sometimes volatile, but often deeply rewarding journey where each partner must learn not only about the other but also about themselves. To outsiders, this relationship may look unbalanced at times. One partner appears to lead, the other to yield. One seems to blaze with determination, the other drifts with sensitivity. But beneath the surface lies a far more complex dance, one that, if mastered, can produce a marriage both resilient and inspiring. The Aries Snake enters marriage with an instinctive sense of leadership. This sign, fiery by zodiac and strategic by Chinese influence, rarely surrenders control easily. They are planners, thinkers, and decision-makers. They see the household as a fortress, one that must be carefully guarded, managed, and maintained. To them, marriage is not only about romance but also about stability, protection, and achievement. They feel responsible not only for their own success but for the well-being of their family unit. This seriousness, this protective vigilance, is both a gift and a burden. While it provides strength, it can sometimes overshadow the softer emotional needs of their spouse. On the other hand, the Pisces Rooster enters marriage with a deep longing for security and harmony. They want a partner they can lean on, someone who can act as an anchor when life feels chaotic. At first glance, this might make them seem fragile or dependent, but in reality, this longing springs from their Piscean dreaminess and their rooster's sense of loyalty. They crave order in their home and consistency in love. What they bring to marriage is not fiery passion or dominance but gentleness, patience, and a dedication to nurturing the bond. Their strength lies in emotional support, in keeping alive the spiritual and affectionate core of the relationship. Tension naturally arises when these instincts collide. The Aries snake may grow impatient with what they perceive as the rooster's hypersensitivity. They may not always understand why their partner needs so much reassurance, why small disruptions feel so overwhelming, or why discussions about feelings stretch longer than the snake believes necessary. Conversely, the Pisces rooster may at times see the snake as cold, too calculating, even manipulative. They may interpret the snake's silence as emotional distance, and their decisiveness as a lack of collaboration. Misunderstandings can pile up, creating an atmosphere where one feels unappreciated and the other feels smothered. Yet, paradoxically, it is precisely this tension that forms the root of their potential. The Pisces rooster admires strength, even if they occasionally resent it. Deep within, they long for a partner who can stand firm against life's storms, who can shield them from the harshness of reality. The Aries snake, with their determination, resilience, and protective instincts, is uniquely capable of fulfilling this role. What they must learn, however, is that protection cannot come at the cost of tenderness. Dominance must be tempered with empathy, and control must be balanced with genuine listening. When the snake learns this lesson, their marriage transforms from a battlefield of wills into a sanctuary of trust. Similarly, the Pisces rooster must undergo growth of their own. While their gentleness and sensitivity are gifts, they must also cultivate strength, self-confidence, and resilience. The snake cannot carry the entire weight of the marriage, nor should they. When the rooster learns to strengthen their backbone, to speak with clarity and stand firm in moments of conflict, the snake will not only respect them more but also relax into the partnership. Instead of feeling burdened, the snake begins to see their spouse as a true ally, someone who can share both the struggles and victories of life. In daily married life, these dynamics play out in countless small ways. The snake may take charge of finances, planning, and long-term strategies for the household, while the rooster focuses on maintaining emotional warmth, fostering traditions, and making the home feel welcoming and stable. When disagreements arise, about money, about parenting, about boundaries, the outcome depends less on the subject itself and more on whether they can honor each other's roles. If the snake dismisses the rooster's emotional perspective, resentment grows. If the rooster refuses to acknowledge the snake's protective instinct, mistrust brews. But when they pause to appreciate the balance each provides, the snake's determination paired with the rooster's devotion, the marriage gains a sturdiness that few other combinations can match. Their union thrives when they establish rituals that honor both sides of their personalities. The snake benefits from the rooster's ability to slow down, to create moments of intimacy and connection, whether through long evening conversations or quiet family traditions. The rooster flourishes under the snake's guidance and sense of direction, feeling safer and freer to dream knowing that their partner has a steady hand on the wheel. Together, they discover that marriage is not about erasing differences but about weaving them into a larger whole. Of course, challenges never disappear entirely. At times, the snake's need for control will clash with the rooster's need for reassurance. At times, the rooster's sensitivity will frustrate the snake, who prefers logic over emotional turbulence. But as long as they recognize these patterns and do not allow them to harden into habits, their marriage remains resilient. Every conflict becomes an opportunity for deeper understanding, every reconciliation a reaffirmation of loyalty. The most remarkable feature of their marriage is its potential to evolve. Early years may be filled with misunderstandings and struggles for balance, but as time passes, the Aries snake and Pisces rooster can grow into one another in ways that surprise even themselves. The snake learns softness without losing strength, the rooster learns courage without losing tenderness. Over decades, this union has the capacity to resemble not just a partnership but a fortress, a place of safety, loyalty, and shared dreams. From the outside, others may marvel at their bond, unable to see the countless small compromises, efforts, and sacrifices that built it. From the inside, the snake and rooster come to realize that their marriage is not perfect, but it is uniquely theirs, fueled by resilience, tempered by compassion, and fortified by mutual admiration. In the end, the answer to whether they can build a home together is yes, but not effortlessly. Their home will not be one of ease or endless harmony. Instead, it will be a structure carved by endurance, compromise, and a determination to see beyond surface differences. For the Aries Snake and Pisces Rooster, marriage becomes less about blending into one another and more about standing side by side, two distinct souls, two contrasting energies, who, through trial and growth, create a shared space that is as strong as it is beautiful. It is not the easiest of marriages, but it can be one of the most profound, a union forged in fire and water, softened by tenderness, and bound together by an unshakable commitment to endure. Sex, a dance of passion and sensitivity. The intimate world of Aries Snake and Pisces Rooster is not a simple playground of desire. It is a vast, layered realm where power and vulnerability, fire and water, control and surrender converge in ways that few couples ever experience. For the Aries Snake, sexuality is never casual, never just physical. It is charged with intensity, almost theatrical in its depth, radiating an energy that feels magnetic, hypnotic, and impossible to ignore. Every glance, every movement, every pause in their presence carries the promise of something more, as though their very aura is designed to seduce. They walk into intimacy not as participants but as orchestrators of an experience, weaving mystery and allure with every touch. The Pisces Rooster, however, approaches sexuality from an entirely different perspective. Reserved at first, cautious even, they do not reveal their passion immediately. To them, intimacy is sacred, and their heart must be engaged before their body follows. At the beginning, they may appear shy or hesitant, their Piscean vulnerability making them careful about opening themselves fully. But beneath that modest surface lies a surprising reservoir of passion, waiting for the right partner to awaken it. They need someone who can see past their gentle demeanor and coax out the fire hidden within. That is exactly where the Aries Snake steps in, confident, persistent, endlessly patient when it comes to seduction. When they finally come together, the chemistry is extraordinary. The snake thrives on intensity, on mystery, on pushing the boundaries of passion, while the rooster adds emotional depth, tenderness, and sincerity. For Aries Snake, the bedroom becomes a stage where control and confidence dominate. For Pisces Rooster, it becomes a sanctuary where emotional connection and spiritual union matter above all. Together, they merge these two energies into encounters that feel far more profound than mere physical pleasure. Their intimacy becomes a language in itself, a dialogue without words, where every kiss, every gesture, every silence conveys emotions that daily life cannot express. This fusion creates an almost alchemical effect. The snake's hypnotic energy awakens hidden layers in the rooster, drawing out courage and sensuality they didn't know they possessed. At the same time, the rooster's vulnerability and openness disarm the snake, teaching them that power and dominance are not the only paths to fulfillment. When balanced, their encounters are both fiery and tender, passionate and gentle, fierce yet compassionate. It feels as though their bodies are speaking to each other in a timeless dialect of fire and water, each encounter reshaping them, binding them closer, weaving love into passion in inseparable threads. But challenges exist here, too, and they are not minor. For the Aries Snake, sex can sometimes become about conquest, about proving their magnetism, about relishing the thrill of being desired and obeyed. If this mindset dominates, intimacy risks losing its tenderness, becoming more about performance than connection. The Pisces Rooster, with their emotional core, cannot thrive in such an environment. For them, intimacy stripped of feeling becomes empty, even painful. They crave reassurance, gentleness, and the certainty that passion is not fleeting but rooted in love. If they sense the snake's focus drifting toward control rather than connection, they may retreat emotionally, leaving the snake puzzled and frustrated. On the other side, the rooster's vulnerability can sometimes frustrate the snake. The constant need for reassurance, the tendency to equate physical passion with emotional declarations, may feel constricting to the snake, who sees intimacy as a natural flow of energy rather than a constant reaffirmation of love. The snake must learn patience here, must learn to offer tenderness not just when passion burns brightest but also in quieter, subtler moments. And the rooster, in turn, must learn to embrace the snake's fiery unpredictability, to find comfort in the intensity rather than fearing it. When they succeed, when these challenges are addressed with care and growth, their sexual relationship transcends the ordinary. It becomes more than an act, it becomes an almost mystical exchange. Imagine the snake leaning into the rooster with an intensity that borders on overwhelming, yet within that fire, the rooster senses a rare vulnerability, a confession of need without words. Imagine the rooster responding not with fear, but with trust, letting their softness and sensitivity ground the snake's flame, creating a moment where dominance and surrender blur, where passion feels infinite and sacred. Their intimacy also becomes a place of healing. For the snake, who often wears armor in the world, the bedroom with the rooster is the one place they can shed their calculated persona and reveal raw desire mixed with real emotion. For the rooster, who so often feels fragile or misunderstood, the snake's embrace becomes proof of strength, protection, and acceptance. Each encounter strengthens them both, reshaping their understanding of what love and desire truly mean. Of course, their passion is not always smooth. Their arguments can follow them into the bedroom, where unresolved emotions might turn intensity into conflict. Yet paradoxically, it is often through intimacy that they reconcile most deeply. For this pair, apologies are often unspoken but felt in touch, forgiveness found in closeness rather than words. This cycle of conflict and resolution, of fire and water clashing and merging, gives their sexual life a dramatic, novel-like rhythm that keeps it vibrant across years. Ultimately, sex between Aries Snake and Pisces Rooster is not a matter of routine or biology, it is a dance of souls, a test of balance between dominance and tenderness, passion and vulnerability. When they meet in the middle, when the snake tempers their fire with compassion and the rooster embraces the thrill of unpredictability, their intimacy feels otherworldly, almost transcendent. It becomes a reminder that love is not always gentle, nor is it always fierce. It is both, woven together in ways that words cannot fully capture. In this sacred space, the Aries Snake and Pisces Rooster find not only pleasure but transformation. Their encounters teach them lessons about trust, empathy, and the balance of power. They emerge from each embrace not just satisfied but changed, closer, and more deeply bound to each other. Sex, for them, is not just a part of love, it is the very pulse of their connection, a realm where fire and water no longer fight but dance, endlessly, mysteriously, and with a beauty that defies explanation. Friendship, different worlds, shared curiosity. Friendship between an Aries Snake and a Pisces Rooster is not the kind of easy, instantly seamless connection that others might enjoy. It is, instead, a layered and often surprising relationship where contrasts give birth to growth, where differences become both the source of tension and the foundation of their bond. At first glance, they may not seem like obvious companions. The Aries Snake carries themselves with an air of mystery, exuding strategy and purpose, while the Pisces Rooster is gentle, expressive, and dreamy, radiating warmth in ways that the snake rarely allows themselves to. Yet somehow, when these two step into each other's orbits, curiosity begins to weave a thread between them, and slowly that thread thickens into something strong, enduring, and unique. The Aries Snake in friendship often comes across as guarded. They prefer depth to superficial chatter, strategy to frivolity, purpose to wandering. Their conversations tend to cut straight to the heart of things, skipping small talk in favor of dissecting goals, examining motives, or exploring philosophies. They are ambitious and private, and this privacy creates an aura of intrigue around them. Friends may feel they never fully know the snake, no matter how close they are. And perhaps that is intentional. Snakes like to maintain an element of control even in friendship, offering glimpses but never the entire picture. The Pisces Rooster, however, approaches friendship in a completely different manner. For them, connection is about sharing dreams, emotions, and visions. They thrive on open-hearted communication, weaving their feelings into stories, laughter, and sometimes even tears. They do not hide themselves in the same way the snake does. Rather, they put themselves on display with sincerity and vulnerability. To the rooster, friendship is not about calculating gain or loss. It is about being seen, being understood, and having someone to share life's journey with. On the surface, such differences could easily clash. The snake might view the rooster's openness as naivety, too exposed, too trusting. They may wonder how someone can so freely bear their emotions without considering consequences. Meanwhile, the rooster might feel unsettled by the snake's secrecy, longing for transparency that the snake is hesitant to give. At times, the rooster may feel as if they are pouring themselves into the friendship while the snake gives little back in comparison. And yet, this is precisely where the magic begins. Because as they spend more time together, these differences begin to work in their favor. The rooster's warmth gently dissolves the snake's icy exterior. Slowly, the snake begins to lower their guard, recognizing that not every act of vulnerability is dangerous, not every shared dream is foolish. The rooster teaches the snake the beauty of openness, of honesty, of simply speaking from the heart without agenda. The snake, in turn, grounds the rooster. Where the Pisces influence can sometimes lead the rooster to drift in fantasies, lost in visions of what could be, the snake pulls them back to the earth. With quiet wisdom and a sharp eye for reality, the snake shows the rooster where dreams meet limits, where vision needs action, and where imagination must be tempered with logic. This balance makes their friendship both challenging and rewarding. The rooster begins to appreciate the snake's counsel, realizing that wisdom and restraint are forms of love, even if they are not expressed through grand emotional gestures. The snake begins to value the rooster's sincerity, seeing it as courage rather than weakness, realizing that truth spoken without calculation can sometimes be the most powerful truth of all. Together, they create a friendship that is more than mere companionship. It becomes a safe haven where each can practice skills they lack. Of course, the road is not always smooth. Misunderstandings will inevitably arise. The rooster may feel wounded when the snake withdraws into silence, interpreting it as disinterest or rejection, when in reality the snake is simply processing or protecting themselves. The snake may grow impatient when the rooster indulges in what they perceive as naive idealism, spinning visions that seem detached from reality. These moments can create friction, but they also open opportunities for growth. If they learn to ask instead of assume, to question each other's motives rather than jumping to conclusions, their friendship can deepen beyond what either thought possible. One of the most fascinating aspects of this dynamic is the way they quietly admire qualities in each other that they do not possess themselves. The rooster looks at the snake's ability to stay composed under pressure, to see through illusions, to strategize with precision, and feels inspired. If only I could be that strong, that unshakable, the rooster might think. The snake, though they may never say it aloud, envies the rooster's freedom to feel openly, to speak without overthinking, to dream without fear of failure. If only I could let go like that, the snake muses. This mutual admiration creates respect, even when frustrations bubble beneath the surface. Over time, their friendship begins to feel less like a meeting of opposites and more like a partnership of equals. The rooster provides color, warmth, and sincerity, painting their shared world with optimism and creativity. The snake provides structure, wisdom, and perspective, making sure those colors don't blur into chaos. When they work in harmony, they become not only friends but co-creators of a balanced reality, one filled with both imagination and practicality. Their bond also becomes a mirror for personal growth. The snake, through the rooster's example, learns the value of expressing emotions rather than burying them. They may find themselves laughing more, confiding more, even daring to reveal aspects of themselves that once stayed hidden. The rooster, through the snake's guidance, learns discernment and resilience. They begin to see that not every dream must be shared with everyone, that some visions require protection, and that strength does not always mean rigidity but can mean quiet endurance. Ultimately, the friendship between Aries Snake and Pisces Rooster thrives not because they are similar, but because they are different. It is in their contrasts that they discover what they lack and what they can offer. The rooster softens the snake's rationality, teaching them that not all value can be measured by outcomes. The snake grounds the rooster's fantasies, teaching them that dreams gain power when given form and direction. Together, they craft a friendship that feels at once unusual and deeply necessary. And if they can nurture respect and patience, this friendship becomes a sanctuary. For the rooster, it is a place where their vulnerability is not mocked but protected. For the snake, it is a space where their secrets are respected, where they can exist without the constant need to defend or perform. In this safe haven, both grow, both learn, and both discover that true friendship is not about being the same but about complementing each other in ways that no one else can. Business, strategy meets creativity. When Aries Snake and Pisces Rooster step into the world of business together, their partnership becomes a fascinating study in contrasts, one fueled by ambition and strategy on one side, and imagination and vision on the other. From the outside, they may look like an unlikely duo. The snake, with their sharp instincts and calculated moves, seems built for boardrooms, negotiations, and tactical strikes, while the rooster, with their dreamy Piscean flair and eye for detail, appears more at home in creative studios and brainstorming sessions. Yet it is precisely this contrast that holds the seed of greatness. If they can learn to appreciate and channel their differences, the result is not merely cooperation, it is innovation backed by resilience, a union that combines the survival skills of a strategist with the artistry of a visionary. The Aries Snake, by nature, thrives on strategy. They have a mind like a chessboard, always analyzing not only the next move but also 5 or 10 moves ahead. In business, they are the mastermind, the risk-taker, the one who dares to step where others hesitate. Their Aries fire drives them forward, unafraid of competition or challenge, while the snake's influence sharpens their instincts, allowing them to read situations and people with uncanny accuracy. They are ambitious, yes, but not reckless. Every risk they take is measured, calculated, chosen with precision. To work alongside such a figure means entering into a world where logic, timing, and resilience form the backbone of every decision. The Pisces Rooster, on the other hand, enters the business world with a completely different energy. Their creativity is not random or chaotic, it is fueled by both the Piscean ability to dream and the rooster's natural attention to detail. They see possibilities where others see limitations. They imagine new products, innovative marketing approaches, artistic designs, or unconventional solutions to old problems. But their contribution is not just creativity, it is also conscience. The rooster, with their moral compass and Piscean empathy, brings integrity and humanity into business decisions, reminding the snake that success is not measured only in profits but also in meaning, purpose, and impact. When these two combine forces, their potential is enormous. Picture a project where the snake maps out the strategy, timelines, risks, resource allocation, while the rooster fills the plan with creativity, flair, and a vision that makes the project not just functional but inspiring. The snake ensures survival, competition, and growth. The rooster ensures beauty, purpose, and long-term resonance. Together, they operate like the left and right hemispheres of the brain, one logical, one imaginative, each incomplete without the other. But harmony is not automatic, and conflict often lies just beneath the surface. The Aries Snake's preference for cold logic and swift decision-making can collide with the Pisces Rooster's reliance on intuition and emotion. Imagine a meeting where a major decision must be made quickly, whether to sign a deal, launch a product, or pivot in strategy. The snake, with their razor-sharp instincts, wants to move immediately, convinced that hesitation equals weakness. The rooster, however, pauses, feeling unease, sensing that something is off, wanting to consider the ethical implications or emotional consequences. To the snake, this hesitation feels like weakness. To the rooster, the snake's decisiveness feels like recklessness. If left unresolved, these conflicts can create frustration. The snake may begin to see the rooster as naive, impractical, or too idealistic for the harsh world of business. The rooster, in turn, may feel the snake as manipulative, overly controlling, or blind to the human side of decisions. Yet if they recognize the value of each other's perspective, these differences can become their greatest strength. The snake learns that intuition has its place, that not every decision can be boiled down to numbers and strategy. The rooster learns that sometimes boldness is necessary, that dreams need action and courage to become reality. Their teamwork is at its strongest when they establish clear roles while still leaving room for overlap. The snake can take the lead on strategy, negotiation, and competition, while the rooster focuses on design, communication, and moral alignment. But they must also listen to each other. The snake should pause when the rooster senses something amiss, and the rooster should trust the snake's instincts when quick action is required. When this mutual respect is present, they not only succeed but often outshine rivals who rely on only one side of the equation. The practical impact of their partnership can be profound. The snake's drive ensures that projects don't die in the dream stage, while the rooster's creativity ensures that projects are not hollow or soulless. Together, they can launch ventures that are both profitable and meaningful, businesses that not only succeed financially but also leave a lasting impression. Imagine them leading a company, the snake navigating the complexities of markets and competition, while the rooster builds a brand identity that connects deeply with people's hearts. Such a combination has the power to build not just wealth but legacy. Yet even beyond success, their business relationship is a mirror for personal growth. The snake learns patience and the value of empathy, discovering that creativity and intuition can reveal angles strategy alone would miss. The rooster learns courage and resilience, realizing that dreams must be protected by bold decisions and clear strategies. Together, they challenge each other to become more balanced, more complete leaders. In short, the Aries snake ensures survival and success, while the Pisces rooster ensures purpose and meaning. One provides the backbone, the other provides the soul. And when they work in harmony, their business ventures become more than transactions. They become creations, expressions of both ambition and vision. It is not always easy. Their disagreements can be fiery, their approaches sometimes worlds apart. But when they manage to honor each other's gifts, they create an unstoppable force, capable of building enterprises that stand the test of time, rooted not just in profit but in the rare and powerful union of strategy and creativity. Dark sides, where shadows lurk. Every relationship casts shadows, and the bond between Aries snake and Pisces rooster is no exception. What makes their pairing so magnetic in the light of passion and creativity can also twist into knots when stress, fear, or ego enter the picture. Their strengths, if pushed too far, turn into weaknesses. Their differences, once complementary, can become sources of pain. To understand the darker side of this union is to understand the places where they stumble, where trust begins to crack, and where love can feel like a battlefield instead of a sanctuary. For the Aries snake, shadows often take the form of control. There is an instinct within them to lead, to orchestrate, to manage every variable of life. In business, in friendships, even in daily routines, this tendency can be admirable. But in a close relationship, where equality and vulnerability are essential, the snake's control can transform into manipulation. Sometimes it is subtle, disguised as guidance or protection. Sometimes it is overt, a refusal to compromise or a need to dominate decisions. The snake's secrecy adds fuel to this fire. They rarely reveal all their thoughts, preferring to keep cards close to the chest, even from the one they love. This secrecy, while making them alluring, can leave the rooster feeling perpetually uncertain, as if their partner is playing a game whose rules they don't understand. Control, secrecy, and manipulation feed into a cycle of insecurity. The Pisces rooster, deeply sensitive and emotionally open, craves transparency and reassurance. They want to feel safe in the arms of someone who will not only protect them but also confide in them. When the snake withholds, the rooster feels excluded from their partner's inner world. That exclusion gnaws at them, breeding self-doubt, jealousy, or fear. They begin to wonder if they are truly loved or merely tolerated, if their partner's intensity is sincere or just another mask. Yet the rooster is not free of shadows either. Their Piscean influence makes them prone to self-pity. When hurt or ignored, they retreat into emotional storms, replaying slights over and over in their mind, magnifying wounds until they seem unbearable. Their sensitivity, which is a gift in moments of empathy, becomes a curse when it tips into fragility. The rooster's idealistic streak intensifies the problem. They often build their partner into a hero, projecting onto the snake an idealized image of strength, romance, and perfection. But when reality inevitably diverges from fantasy, disillusionment sets in. They may feel betrayed not because the snake did something truly cruel, but because their expectations were unrealistic. This shadow dance, control against fragility, secrecy against idealization, can easily spiral downward. The snake grows frustrated with what they see as weakness, accusing the rooster of being too needy, too dramatic, too dependent. The rooster, in turn, accuses the snake of being too cold, too manipulative, too unwilling to show their true face. Arguments flare, silence hardens, and intimacy begins to wither. If neither takes responsibility for their darker tendencies, the relationship risks collapsing into mistrust and disappointment. The snake may seek power elsewhere, and the rooster may seek reassurance from someone who promises what the snake withholds. But these same shadows, if confronted honestly, can also become points of growth. For the snake, the challenge is to resist the temptation of secrecy and control. They must learn that vulnerability is not weakness, that openness strengthens bonds rather than undermines them. To speak honestly, to share fears and insecurities, to show tenderness without strings attached, these are the lessons that transform the snake's darkness into wisdom. For the rooster, the challenge is to ground themselves in reality, to strengthen their emotional resilience, and to stop expecting perfection. They must learn to see the snake not as an idealized figure but as a complex human being, flawed and struggling, yet still capable of profound love. When both partners rise to this challenge, the shadows lose their power. The snake discovers the freedom of honesty, the relief of not having to maintain masks. The rooster discovers the strength of self-reliance, the ability to love without losing themselves in illusions. Together, they transform what could have been a battlefield into a place of mutual healing. Still, the risk is real, and the stakes are high. If the snake refuses transparency, if they cling to control as a shield, the rooster will eventually break under the weight of uncertainty. If the rooster continues to idealize, to wallow in disappointment when reality falls short, the snake will tire of the constant emotional demands. In these cases, their shadows do not merely darken the relationship, they consume it. The warmth of their bond fades, replaced by mistrust, resentment, and distance. In the end, the dark sides of Aries Snake and Pisces Rooster are not fatal flaws but crossroads. They mark the places where each partner must choose growth or stagnation, honesty or secrecy, resilience or fragility. If they fail, their story becomes one of disillusionment, a romance that burned brightly only to end in ashes. But if they succeed, if they face their shadows head-on, their bond becomes deeper, richer, and far more enduring than those who never confront such trials. Their shadows, then, are not simply threats. They are also invitations to grow, to shed illusions, to meet each other not as ideals or archetypes but as flawed, human souls. And it is only when the snake steps out of secrecy and the rooster steps out of self-pity that the relationship can emerge from darkness into a light strong enough to withstand time. Life goals, the warrior and the dreamer. At the heart of every meaningful relationship lies the question, what do we want from life? For Aries Snake and Pisces Rooster, this question is not a simple one, because their visions of the future come from two very different worlds. The snake is the warrior, hungry for achievement, power, and control. They are driven by a need to shape destiny with their own hands, to rise above limitations, to leave behind a legacy of influence or success that will not be forgotten. The rooster, on the other hand, is the dreamer, gentle yet visionary, devoted not to conquest but to harmony, inspiration, and creativity. They want to bring beauty into the world, to nurture souls, to inspire others with acts of kindness, art, or compassion. When these two life paths converge, the result can be breathtaking. But when they diverge, the gap can feel unbridgeable. The Aries Snake's life goals often reflect their innate fire and strategy. They crave autonomy, the ability to stand tall and declare that they are the master of their own fate. For them, success is not a vague dream but a concrete necessity. They seek power not just for the sake of dominance but as a way to ensure freedom. Whether they pursue a career, wealth, or influence, the snake wants control over their destiny and recognition for their achievements. Legacy matters. The idea that their life could pass without leaving a mark is unbearable to them. They are the warrior archetype, building, conquering, carving out space in a competitive world. Pisces Rooster, meanwhile, approaches life with a gentler hand but no less conviction. Their goals are less about power and more about meaning. They want to love and be loved, to create beauty where there was none, to nurture where there was neglect. Their idea of success may not involve titles or trophies but fulfillment, inner peace, creative expression, and relationships that nourish the soul. While the snake dreams of empires, the rooster dreams of gardens, songs, and communities. They are the dreamer archetype, seeking to live a life of inspiration, emotional resonance, and harmony with the world around them. At first glance, these goals seem incompatible, one reaching for the sword, the other reaching for the paintbrush. And yet, when they find alignment, the union becomes extraordinary. Imagine the snake building a structure, whether a career, a company, or a legacy, while the rooster fills that structure with soul. The snake provides the backbone, the foundation, the discipline. The rooster provides the heart, the vision, the compassion. Together, they can create not just wealth but purpose, not just influence but inspiration. Where one might have built something powerful but hollow, the other ensures it sings with life. Where one might have dreamed without form, the other ensures the dream becomes reality. The true challenge lies in balance. If the snake becomes too consumed by ambition, they risk trampling over the rooster's need for harmony. They may dismiss the rooster's goals as too soft, too impractical, or too idealistic, forgetting that beauty and compassion give life meaning. To the snake, power is survival. To the rooster, love is survival. When the snake cannot see the value in the rooster's dreams, resentment brews. The rooster begins to feel invisible, unappreciated, as though their contribution is nothing more than an accessory to the snake's ambitions. On the flip side, if the rooster becomes too immersed in dreams, they may frustrate the snake. The warrior within the snake grows impatient with hesitation, with visions unbacked by action. They may accuse the rooster of weakness, of naivety, of lacking the courage to seize opportunities when they arise. For the snake, time is precious and battles must be fought. For the rooster, rushing feels like violence against the soul. Without understanding, the rooster may view the snake as selfish and cold, while the snake may see the rooster as unrealistic and fragile. The solution, as with so much in their union, is compromise and integration. The snake must learn to soften, to see that not all victories are measured in conquests and not all legacies are built in steel or stone. Sometimes a legacy can be a piece of art, a home filled with love, or a community touched by kindness. The rooster must learn to strengthen their backbone, to give their dreams legs to walk on and a voice to stand firm against pressure. They must understand that without action, beauty remains an idea, never entering the world in tangible form. When they achieve this integration, their life goals no longer clash, they merge into a shared vision. The snake lends courage and determination, ensuring the dream does not fade at the first challenge. The rooster lends compassion and imagination, ensuring the legacy is not empty of meaning. Fire meets water not to extinguish but to create steam, energy, and momentum. The warrior builds the fortress, the dreamer fills it with music. The result is a life not just survived but lived, not just conquered but cherished. But if they fail to align, the relationship risks crumbling under pressure. The snake will accuse the rooster of weakness, calling them naive or impractical. The rooster will accuse the snake of selfishness, claiming they care only for conquest and not for love. Their visions will pull them in opposite directions, one chasing influence, the other chasing meaning, and the bond that once felt magnetic will stretch until it snaps. Ultimately, their challenge is to find common ground, a shared dream that honors both the warrior and the dreamer. If they can agree on a vision that includes ambition and compassion, legacy and beauty, survival and love, then their partnership becomes unshakable. They stop competing over whose goals matter more and begin building a future where both find fulfillment. For Aries Snake and Pisces Rooster, life goals are not just personal desires, they are the compass of their union. When their compasses point in the same direction, they journey together with power and grace. When they point apart, the road becomes rocky, perhaps impossible. The choice lies in whether they can learn to weave their warrior spirit and their dreamer's heart into a single story, a story where fire and water create not conflict but harmony. Final conclusions. Can Aries Snake and Pisces Rooster truly last? When we arrive at the final question of Aries Snake and Pisces Rooster compatibility, it is impossible to give a simple yes or no. Their connection is not built on easy harmony or surface-level commonalities. It is a relationship forged in paradox, where every strength has a shadow, and every difference is both a source of conflict and a potential wellspring of growth. Fire and water, control and vulnerability, strategy and dreams, these are the elements they must learn to reconcile. For some pairs, the very tension between these forces becomes unbearable. For others, it is exactly this dynamic that makes their bond unforgettable, even transformative. In love, the story of Aries Snake and Pisces Rooster reads like a novel, both stormy and poetic. The snake brings fire, passion, and a magnetic allure that captivates the rooster's sensitive and idealistic heart. The rooster brings tenderness, loyalty, and a depth of compassion that teaches the snake lessons in vulnerability. Together, they can create a romance that feels larger than life, full of intensity, longing, and moments of breathtaking connection. Yet it is not a love free from storms. If the snake grows too controlling or secretive, the rooster's heart begins to feel insecure. If the rooster expects the snake to embody an ideal of perfection, disillusionment is inevitable. Love between them thrives not because it is easy but because it is chosen, nurtured, and fought for. In marriage, the stakes grow even higher. The snake's natural instinct to lead and to strategize can collide with the rooster's desire for harmony and predictability. Here, compromise is not just a suggestion, it is survival. The snake must soften their dominance, learning empathy and patience. The rooster must find their backbone, meeting the snake's intensity with resilience rather than retreat. When they succeed, marriage becomes a fortress, built on loyalty and admiration, each partner respecting what the other brings. But when they fail, the home becomes a battlefield of power struggles and emotional bruises, where silence replaces intimacy and mistrust erodes loyalty. In sex, their paradoxes find perhaps the most profound expression. The snake is a natural seducer, brimming with hypnotic energy and passion. The rooster, though reserved at first, hides deep wells of desire, waiting for the right partner to awaken them. Their intimacy, at its best, is more than physical, it becomes spiritual, a language without words. But even here, imbalance lurks. The snake may sometimes see intimacy as conquest, while the rooster craves emotional closeness above all. Only when the snake learns tenderness and the rooster learns to embrace unpredictability does their connection transcend ordinary boundaries. When aligned, their intimacy can feel otherworldly, as though passion and sensitivity have fused into something timeless. In friendship, the differences that define them play out in quieter but equally important ways. The snake, mysterious and strategic, prefers depth and guarded conversations. The rooster, open and sincere, thrives on sharing dreams and feelings. Their worlds are not naturally aligned, but this very contrast brings curiosity. The snake learns to open up, to appreciate sincerity as strength. The rooster learns to ground their visions, to see wisdom in restraint. If mutual respect is achieved, the friendship becomes a safe haven of learning. If not, misunderstandings create distance, the snake retreating into silence, the rooster lamenting the lack of openness. In business, they are like two halves of a powerful brain. The snake offers strategy, ambition, and courage to seize opportunities. The rooster offers creativity, vision, and moral grounding. Together, they can innovate, building enterprises that are both profitable and meaningful. But their differences in decision-making, logic versus intuition, can spark friction. If they respect each other's strengths, they become unstoppable. If not, mistrust undermines every endeavor, and what could have been groundbreaking falls apart. Dark sides, of course, cannot be ignored. The snake's manipulative tendencies, secrecy, and hunger for control cast long shadows. The rooster's self-pity, oversensitivity, and unrealistic expectations create storms of their own. Together, these shadows can either destroy the relationship or force both to grow. The snake must learn honesty and vulnerability. The rooster must learn resilience and realism. If they fail, mistrust and disappointment consume their connection. If they succeed, their shadows become stepping stones to greater intimacy and strength. Life goals represent perhaps their greatest test. The snake, the warrior, seeks power, legacy, and control. The rooster, the dreamer, seeks beauty, harmony, and emotional fulfillment. Alone, these goals seem divergent, yet when merged, they form something rare. A vision where power is tempered by compassion, and creativity is grounded in strategy. The snake builds the structure, the rooster fills it with soul. If they align, their union becomes a testament to the possibility of opposites creating wholeness. If they diverge, accusations of selfishness and weakness fracture their path. So, can Aries snake and Pisces rooster truly last? The answer depends not on fate but on their willingness to grow. This is not a relationship for the faint of heart. It demands maturity, patience, and deep self-awareness from both sides. The snake must fight their instinct to control, and the rooster must resist the pull of illusions. Both must honor what the other values, finding a shared dream strong enough to carry them through storms. When they succeed, theirs is a love story that defies odds. It is not soft, simple, or predictable. It is mysterious, poetic, and unforgettable. They embrace contradictions rather than running from them. They turn fire and water into steam, into energy that propels them forward. They build not just a bond, but a legacy of love that leaves a lasting mark on both their lives. If they fail, the story becomes one of frustration, mistrust, and what-ifs. Yet even then, the lessons each takes away can shape their futures profoundly. But if they succeed, if they choose understanding over ego, growth over comfort, the answer to whether they can last is a resounding yes. They do not just last, they thrive, creating a relationship that is as enigmatic as it is beautiful, a rare union of warrior and dreamer, strategy and soul, fire and water.